Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Today is the 2nd of June, year of our Lord, 2020-25. Welcome to yet another edition of the Coping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Hinkle, aka Motano. Got a big show. Got a nice big show for you guys today. First one back in about 2 weeks. The reports of the show's demise have been grossly over-reported and overstated. A lot of that shit coming across my desk. You guys really thought I really pump faked on you guys. I guess I didn't communicate effectively enough that and there wasn't a show for 2 weeks. And I guess people really thought that the show was over, as I have long since, I don't want to say promised or threatened. Perhaps the latter is the better word here. That one day I may just pull the plug on the show and it will never exist for no reason, and for reasons that I will probably never explain if and when it does happen. Anytime that there's not an episode, I say this all the time, but anytime that there's not an episode, when you're expecting there to be one, check the community posts on the Motondo YouTube channel. I've probably explained it on there. If I haven't, that's when you can start to panic, I suppose, if that's what it makes you feel when there's not an episode, when you're expecting there to be an episode. What I had posted was that we were leaving town a little bit unexpectedly for a couple of days. I didn't even realize, by the way, that it was Memorial Day weekend, and so we ended up. It was like, oh well, we're okay. We just sort of get the extra day, and we're already out of town. Oh, okay, this works. I had no idea it was Memorial Day, and I said I recorded a 2-hour show in preparation of my absence to make up for the fact that we were going to be missing a day of an episode. A 2-hour show. And when I tell you that not a millisecond of those 2 hours was usable, something happened to the file. I don't know if it was my microphone during the tape. I don't know what it was. It wasn't a storage thing. I had the storage. I had like 100 gigs on my hard drive cleared. So it wasn't that. Just couldn't use any of it. And the analogy that I used here is that the Coping Hour had a real Wilt Chamberlain scores 100 points moment where I do something unthinkable, where I go for 2 hours. I go 2 hours, no cuts. And there's not anything to even prove that it happened. Not even the original, not even the raw file, which is corrupted, by the way, because it only thinks that I recorded like 110 minutes, like an hour, 10 minutes. That was my first indication that something was wrong when I went to edit it. Was it split it up into 2 files? One was 40 and one was like 10. I was like, wait, what the fuck? So it wouldn't, even if I showed you that, it wouldn't be 2 hours. It happened though. And I don't really have any reason to lie about that. I just hope you believe me. And so I didn't get to put that out. And so we ended up going 2 days without an episode. And then I was going to put one out once we got home, maybe in the middle of the week or at the end of the week when there was normally supposed to be one. And I just kind of didn't. The one night that I was going to do it, our power went out, which is strange when that happens in Chicago. The power grid here, the electrical grid, is very, very sound. You really don't deal with outages unless you are... Like, I've fucked with the electricity in this condo because I'm using the toaster and the oven and the microwave at the same time. And then I blow a fuse, and then I just go over to the thing. I go over to the switchboard. I go, pop, pop, pop. I switch some shit around, and the power comes back on. I've done that before, but the power doesn't really just go out. And so it really just threw off the rhythm of my day. It was only out for about an hour, but you know what I mean? You just really take electricity for granted. And then you don't have it for an hour. I think the most I've gone in my life is, one time a storm, such as life in the Midwest, right? You deal with this shit sometimes. We were without power for like a week because of some storms, and man, this was like PSP days, so I don't know, somewhere in maybe the early 2010s at some point. That was difficult. I just can't imagine going that amount of time, like when tornadoes and shit, when people get affected by that, they don't have power for weeks. I can't even imagine. At what point do you just lose the willpower? You know what I mean? So anyways, long story short, I just ended up not really, shit just kept getting in the way. And then I was like, well, I kind of want to wait for Pacers Knicks to wrap up so we know for sure that the finals are going to happen. I also wanted to wait for the Champions League to get played, which was on Saturday. So I was like, okay, whatever. I guess maybe I could have, this is a very long-winded way of saying, I guess I could have communicated that there wasn't going to be an episode at the end of the week. I just kind of thought I covered my bases being like, hey, going to be leaving for a minute, and then I'll come back when I come back. And people immediately were like, fuck, it happened. The show's done. It's not done. We're back. What's up? I don't know. This is where we start to transition into what's up, present day. Here's what we're doing today. Really going to want to use the timestamps to your advantage in this episode, I think, because I'm going to do the Talk-A-Thon. I'm going to try to do it again. Episode 150. That's why I really buried the lead here if you're watching today's program. I brought the buffs out, okay? So if you've been looking at me and you're like, wow, it looks like he's wearing a pair of sunglasses that cost $2,500. You would be right. I will not be disclosing that on the show, how much they cost. I'm just saying, hypothetically, if you at home were saying that, you would have been right in how much they cost and that they do look great. You may be wondering, I wonder what it's like to have such cool shit. It looks like Nick has really cool shit. We covered recently all of our liquidity here at home is in sunglasses. Most of it is in what I'm wearing right now. I've never worn these outside of the house, ever. One time have I ever. I mean, I did on walking back from the store in California, and then I think I walked to our office or something like that, wearing them. But they're so heavy, and so I really got to be careful when I'm looking around because they'll fly off of my head because it's solid gold. Solid gold, ladies and gentlemen. No, but okay, sorry. A little bit of a mini victory lap there, which we do not do on this show, but I'm just so damn excited to be back. I don't think I'm going to do 2 hours today. By the time you're listening to this, hey, you know. But hey, we missed 2 weeks worth of topics. I'm sure I'm going to have a lot of stuff to say. So much to say, by the way, I didn't even really write stuff down. That's why you're going to want to use the timestamps, because no matter how long or short that I go in today's episode, we're going to be all over the place. You're not going to get a medal. You're not going to get a badge just because you sat through the whole time. Me being like, oh yeah, and then this thing, like before I even finished saying the thing that I was trying to say. I'll spend 5 minutes setting. Put this on the bingo sheet for today's episode. I'm going to spend 5 minutes setting something up just for me to be like, oh yeah, I forgot about this thing. And then I abandon it entirely and just talk about something else. And then I get a quarter of the way through that. And then I'm like, oh yeah, but did you guys fucking see enter this thing here? It's going to happen today. I think we've covered all the bases on where we've been, how we got here, where we're going today. Put your seatbelts on, ladies and gentlemen. We may be doing some off-road podcasting. Okay. Well, what should we start with? The finals are set in the NBA. You guys want to start with some hoops? It's the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's the Indiana Pacers. It's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander versus Tyrese Halliburton. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. I can't wait. Man, I just can't wait to see how reasonable people are going to be with the takes that they get off about how they're feeling about this matchup. And I can't wait to be subjected to so many earnest debates about ratings and if the NBA is in trouble. It's just funny to me because I think in the most recent episode that we taped of this show, I said something to the effect of like, there are people who make their entire personality that like the NBA sucks and is woke nonsense and it's the worst thing in the world. Like people, you know what I mean? People just love to make that their whole deal is how much they hate the NBA and how much it sucks. And it's like usually the same people who'll be like, the hashtag the 90s were better. And I'm just kind of like, I don't know. We just had the Knicks and the Pacers kind of kick the shit out of each other for, I know, and the way that we'll remember it is that the Pacers kind of kicked the shit out of the Knicks. But I don't know. It was a pretty chippy series. And after one game, we got the best player on the Pacers doing the choke sign to the Knicks, to Spike Lee. It happened in the first game, dog. So if it's like, oh, the 90s were better. The 90s are happening now. The only thing that's different is that the best player on the Pacers did the choke sign to the Knicks, and they didn't lose the series. This time the Pacers actually won. So we're sort of, now we've skewed off. Alternate timeline branch. Now the Pacers are the ones who actually benefited from the choke. That was something we didn't get to cover on the show, by the way, is just the gasp. I mean, just the involuntary holy shit when that Tyrese Halliburton shot went in. And it did suck. We all experienced the emotions in real time. It sucked when that shot I don't want to say didn't count. Of course it counted, but we all thought it was a 3 immediately. And then very clearly it was not. It was a 2, and they made the right call. And Instead of that giving the Pacers the win in game one, it sends it to overtime. But at that point, the Knicks were dead. The Garden was deflated. And it was just a mind-blowing. But, I mean, for that shot to go in from Halliburton, and for him to, it's man, I don't know about you at home. I didn't give him shit when he did the choke sign. And then it's like, oh, yeah, it sucks that now it's not like an actual game winner. Now you're just sending it to OT. But I was like, but I don't think that makes the choke thing stupid. It was just cool. And then he kind of owned it and was like, yeah, it sucks that, he like owned the sort of awkwardness, quote unquote, of it. But it was still cool at the end of the day. Another note about that series. Here's the take, I think, from the NBA season. The New York Knicks have proven that they have the better celebrities row out of anybody in the entire NBA, but I'm talking mainly about the Lakers. I just think the cast of characters, the cast of celebrities that go to these Knicks games are just awesome because like they actually care about ball. You know what I mean? Where like if you go to a Laker game or you go to formerly a Clipper game, I don't know. We'll see. I don't really know what the scene looked like this year in Inglewood, where they're playing now. But formerly the Clippers, when they were both playing at Staples Center, it's like they go to the game for the spectacle. Mainly Laker fans are there for the spectacle. So that's when you see like the Kardashians or the Jenners or like the whoever the fucks, right? Like the IG girlies or the whoever the fucks, the people who don't actually care. They're there because it's the Laker game and that's where you go to sit courtside and like get flicked up. You know what I mean? Where like you go to like Knicks courtside and it's Spike Lee and it's Ben Stiller and it's Timothy Chalamet and like, yes, Kylie Jenner is technically there, but it's by proxy, by way of Timothy Chalamet. So like you kind of are just like, okay, well, it kind of cancels this out. Tracy Morgan. I mean, you always got Ewing. You always got Starks. You got Oakley. I don't think comes around anymore. You don't really see too much of him. I don't know. I just think it was it just way more fun to people watch at these. Fat Joe, does he count? I don't really know if but he's always there. I don't think we really care. But he is always there. Yeah, okay. So the Pacers are in the finals. Whoa. I don't know. Like, I don't really want to start this off by doing like the whole, it's crazy that we're going to look back and this is going to be like the only time that he ever does this. Halliburton, I mean, like this is going to be like the 1 year that this is the measuring stick year for like the rest of his career. I don't really want to do that immediately, despite the fact that I just did it, but it was kind of the first thing that I thought of was like, I guess I mean that in a way that like I'm really going to try to savor this experience with him for better or for worse, right? Even if they go out there and I don't know, let's say they kill the Thunder, right? They win in 4 games and it's for a good reason that I'm savoring every moment. And this is just like his Dirk season, like just in the sense that like this is kind of it's not the only shot that Dirk ever had because he lost in 2006 to the Heat. So yeah, he kind of ended up having 2. So this point doesn't really work. Okay, whatever. Corkscrewed myself into literally going nowhere. I also don't know if that's even fair to get to that point because we're, I think, 3 games removed from the Tyrese Halliburton triple-double, 15 assists with no turnovers. Whoa. Rick Carlisle being like, we should, like, he deserves to get a stat named after him. A triple-double with it. So which was it then? Is it that it has to be just a triple double with no turnovers? Is that all it is? Or is it a triple double, 15 assists, no turnovers? Which one is the Halliburton? I'm not calling it a Hally. I'm not doing that. That looks way better if you're typing it out. And it's way faster to just type. I'm not calling it like actual out loud a Hally. I'm not doing that. It's a Halliburton, if anything else. He's such a funny guy. He's just such a damn funny player. You know, in the last month, anytime we bring him up, we just have to do the thing. We just always got to say it, just remind people that he was voted the most overrated player in the NBA by his peers. The anonymous NBA player poll that the Athletic ran like a month ago, they said Tyrese Halliburton, most overrated player. Insane. We questioned it at the time. We have only gone on to question it even more as the playoffs have gone along. Now the guy is in the finals. I was going to say conference finals MVP. He was not. It was Pascal Siakam. It was Pascal Siakam. You really could have probably thrown a dart at a board when it comes to who was going to win it. I love it. I love that it was Siakam, though. That's fun for him. So now he's got a G League Finals MVP, a G League ring, an NBA ring. He's got a Most Improved. He's got a. Does he have a sixth man? He has to have a. No, I don't know that he would. No, that wouldn't make sense that he would have a sixth man. No way he does. No way. He's made a few All-Star teams. Has he made an All-NBA? Has Pascal Siakam made like a third team All-NBA? I'm sure he has at some point in his career. I don't know. And now he gets to add a conference finals MVP onto that. He might get to add NBA champion ×2 onto that. And then with this Pacers team, again, if they do pull this off, throw a dart at a board. It could be anybody. Dog, like Nembhard could be the finals MVP, like for real. Or like Aaron Nesmith could actually real life be the finals MVP. Or like TJ McConnell could be the finals MVP, right? Miles Turner, could you imagine that? And there's a sub thing. I keep wanting to make a point about Halliburton and I keep distracting myself. Please don't let me forget to come back to the Halliburton jump shot point that I want to make. But Miles Turner, there's just something to be said about a guy in 2025 playing in the NBA who has played on the same team for 10 years. So that already whittles down the list. I mean, a guy in the NBA who has played for the same team for the last 10 years, 10 plus years. It's Miles Turner, Steph, Draymond, CJ McCollum, no. Giannis, okay, yep, there's one. There's Giannis. There's got to be a couple other ones that I'm not thinking of. 10 years, though? It's not KD, not Harden. I'm just thinking about guys Jokic, I guess, Jokic would be one of them, too. So, okay, so if I just go around the league and I'm thinking, like Embiid is probably approaching 10 years if he hasn't gotten there yet. So, okay, so they exist. I don't know. I just think it's cool when that guy who has been with one team actually gets that payoff, and because you just don't see it that much anymore, right? And I think Siakam is a guy that if he had been with the Pacers the entire time, like he wouldn't have. He's sort of one of those. I don't really know the point that I don't know why I'm trying to shoehorn Siakam into this. I can just make the point about Miles Turner. That's fine. I just think it's cool for him. You spend so many years dodging these trade rumors. This landmine every single offseason. During this, it's really around the clock, 12 months out of the year. We're wondering if the Miles Turner domino is ever going to fall, and it just kind of never has, and I don't know if it ever will. Now, what's crazy is they're on the doorstep of this, and they win the East for the second year in a row. They make this really deep, really. Do you want to call it improbable? I guess circumstantially, it wasn't, because they just kind of keep playing teams that are banged up, minus the Knicks. I mean, hey, they just kind of kicked the shit out of the Knicks. And even then, like, I hate that argument with the Pacers. It's one thing to just kind of acknowledge it as a thing that, like, hey, yeah, the last 2 years they just play a lot of banged up teams. But I don't think it's never fair to use that as a criticism against a team. You never want to levy that against a team, because what do you want them to do is just lie down against these teams. So because the Celtics are missing their best player, so now the Pacers, you want Rick Carlisle to sit Tyrese Halliburton for the game so that, like, it's even Stevens? Is that how you want this shit to work? Like, availability is very much like a characteristic of a team that determines whether or not you are able to win a championship. We just did this 4 damn years ago with Milwaukee and Phoenix, because people levied those same accusations against both teams. Oh, well, everybody that you played got hurt. That literally doesn't mean anything. So why is that their problem that they're playing for? So fuck them, I guess, because they stayed healthy. That's their problem now, right? So no, I don't know. I just think so. But so it's not fair to say that, but it is also just kind of true. And so do you want to call these improbable runs? No, but also yeah. And so, like, when you look at this matchup against Oklahoma City, who I'm sure people have started to make their predictions, and I don't know if the articles have come out yet of, like, ESPN pundits and CBS pundits, in a list being like, this reporter says Thunder in 7, and then this one, Thunder in 6. And they go down the list and they name like 15 people. When those start to come out, I wouldn't be surprised if you see 10 or 15 reporters consecutively all picking Oklahoma City. But I would just be cautious of that because that is what people have been doing with this Indiana team for, again, 2 years now, just to kind of bring it back around on like why you can't really use it as a way to slight Indiana is because even when they're underdogs, they're still probably going to win the game. And Oklahoma City hasn't spent that much time being an underdog this season. And so, but it's like also that's kind of for good reason. And maybe this is just kind of where we transition and we do the Oklahoma City piece of this whole thing. It's like, oh, Oklahoma City, wow, they went to the finals and like nobody's surprised by it. And everybody's just kind of like, yep, this is what we thought was going to happen all year. And then that thing happens. And we thought it was going to be against Cleveland or something, but it's not. And so, and then also the way they went out was kind of weird. And like now we're kind of scratching our heads a little bit. What the fuck is going on in Cleveland? Oh, well, then we thought it was going to be Boston and then it wasn't Boston. And now we're going to be without Jason Tatum for like an entire year. And the Celtics, as we know them, are just going to completely explode. And then you're like, oh, wow, it's the Indiana Pacers. And so you're like, okay, it's still Oklahoma City. And that's what we thought. I just don't think it's fair to look at Oklahoma City and be like, well, we thought they were going to be here and then they were, and that's boring. I just think that actually kind of makes it cooler because we spend all season. We spend all off season being like, it's probably going to be this team. And then it is. Yeah, maybe it's boring because you just thought it was going to happen. Like the Chiefs being in the Super Bowl if you're going for 4 straight years, 100 straight years the Chiefs have been in. Before that, it was the Patriots for 100 straight years. It was always New England in the Super Bowl. Most of the time, it was them winning too, by the way. There's still something impressive, at least to me, about living up to that standard. And that invisible precedent that you kind of can't do anything about. And then it's also not nothing if you're Oklahoma City, because you didn't just live up to that precedent and exceed it, honestly, because there was a world where they won 70 games this year. They just didn't. There's also the world where it's like, yeah, the average age of the guys on this roster is probably what, like 25, maybe 25. I was going to say 24. It's probably 20, around like 25-ish. That's crazy. Like, we gave them 1 year. We gave Oklahoma City last year like a pass because they won a series and it was like, cool. And then were they a 1 seed or a 2 seed last year? I don't remember where they were. But it was like they were top regular season dogs, but they were just such an inexperienced team no matter how talented they were, right? They ended up losing, I think it was in the second round, and everybody was like, yeah, man. Like, yep. And then they win and they get like Alex Caruso and they get Isaiah Hartenstein, and you're like, whoa. Like, maybe this is just me. I don't know. I guess whenever I think about Oklahoma City, like retooling, I think you just really expect them to do something crazy, like go do the Cam Johnson thing. I thought it was bizarre that they didn't do it at the deadline this year. Bizarre. He was right there. You have the war chest, Sam Preston. You can go get Cam Johnson and it won't be a drop in the bucket. And they just didn't do it. It's the shit where like it's. I don't want to say guys like Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein are like guys on the margins, because they're not, right? They are major difference makers in your ability to win or lose a championship. But it's not the name that you're expecting. You get what I'm saying? Does that make sense? It's not the Oklahoma City uses 5 of their 100 first-round picks and they go get Cam Johnson just because they fucking can. It's like, I don't remember what the Caruso trade was. It was like Giddey and stuff. Yeah, who cares? Like, who cares? That's not anything for us. By the time the season ended last year, Giddey was a 0 for Oklahoma City, and it was clear that they wanted nothing to do with him. It was like they broke up with Josh Giddey at the time in the relationship that the Warriors should have done it with Kuminga. Does that make sense? But instead, Golden State just like really made it obvious that they just didn't want anything to do with him, and then they kind of just destroyed. So now what are you even, you're going to get a bag of basketballs for him? I don't know. At least if maybe I'm off base here and my read on the situation was totally poor, but like I just feel like Oklahoma City getting out of the Giddey business as soon as they maybe clocked it, like, okay, this is not going to work. They flipped him for Alex Caruso, a guy who you talk about like, oh, anybody on the Pacers could win Finals MVP. It would be shocking if somebody on the Thunder won Finals MVP and a healthy Shai Gilgeous-Alexander didn't do it. That would be pretty shocking. But if you think about it through the lens of like how Alex Caruso is able to impact a game as a guy his size who can defend guys like Jokic while fouling them like the shit out of them, but it doesn't really get called. But also just doing like playoff shit where you're kind of gonna get him, you're gonna let him get away with it. I don't know. It was sort of a blend of horse shittery that Game 7 that happened like a month ago at this point Caruso guarding Jokic. Is it time that we unpack that on this show? A Game 7 that happened 2 rounds ago. Maybe we do that. I don't know. But like in that sense, it could be Alex Caruso. I don't know. It's not going to be, but it could. Or I don't know. Just Chet Holmgren decide like, actually, my confidence is really high and I really like shooting the basketball. Not just like kind of like it sometimes when I'm in the right headspace. I just love shooting the basketball. Maybe he goes berserk. Would be crazy if it wasn't Shai that won it, but it could be Chet Holmgren. And then I think the most interesting case would be Jalen Williams, a guy who Jalen Williams, the fun one, the one that I like in Oklahoma City, maybe the leading candidate for. What if this guy had his own team? What about him? What about that team? Like, I don't know. If I'm, sick, twisted, get your sick, twisted, disgusting, freak, nasty hats on, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get nasty. Expansion draft will happen within the next, 3 years. 3 years we'll have an expansion draft at the latest. Well, the truth is at the latest would be by the end of the decade. But we'll say by 2028, we will know when an expansion draft is going to happen if it hasn't already happened, right? Okay, you got Seattle and your Vegas. Well, depending on what year that this happens, I was going to say J-Dub. I don't know if this is J-Will or J-Dub. So Jalen Williams is going to be getting paid, and I just wonder where we're going to be at in the timeline if Oklahoma City, to avoid some second apron bullshit or luxury tax, whatever the hell, when they're in the middle of paying Shai and Chet and Jalen Williams and then whoever else at the time, right, when the time comes, do you just leave Jalen Williams unprotected? This is a little weird of a hypothetical to be having when there's going to be so much more information that we need to know at the time, and in order to present this concisely, I'm just not going to go into what all of those factors could be. Just realize the only reason I'm creating this hypothetical in the first place is to for there to be a reason that Jalen Williams is the star of the show, the belle of the ball. And it, in this instance, is just an expansion team in Vegas or in Seattle. And he's their guy. They could also otherwise trade for him, however you want to get from A to B on this, right? If he's the number one guy, does he go from what's the best case scenario for him? I'm trying to remember Monte Ellis's career. I can't think of him ever being I don't know. Beal is kind of a good example where he was sort of like the Robin to John Wall's Batman, but it wasn't really about, the number one guy and the sidekick with him. I don't really think it was that. It was kind of like it was like the Jays in Boston, like the my turn, your turn. It's both of our teams, it's both of ours team, but it's yours, John Wall, or it's yours, Jason Tatum. We know what it is, but also you and I know what it is. I don't really think it was. So I'm only saying this to say okay, so Beal does that with John Wall for a couple years, good number of years there. And then John Wall, his body gives up on him. He's in Houston or whatever the fuck. And then it's Bradley Beal's team, and he scores 30 points a game for 3 years in a row. The Wizards are fine. They were sort of in the purgatory zone with the Pistons and the Magic, and the Hornets, where it was you're going to win somewhere between 35 and 40 games every year, probably. But you're food, and you're not going anywhere, and it's because you're paying Bradley Beal $40 million, and he won't leave. He won't let us trade him, and he just wants to keep getting contract extensions until he can get a no trade clause and has 5 years on his deal. And then once he has those things, once Bradley Beal is under contract for 4 years and has a no trade clause, he will demand that he gets traded. After 10 years of service, he's making $250 million. It's guaranteed for 4 seasons. He gets to dictate where he does and does not go. The ink dries on that piece of paper, and Bradley Beal was like, I'd like to go to Phoenix, please. I'm rubbing my eyes like a goddamn Looney Tunes character. If I'm the GM, I don't know about you. What the hell? What the fuck? I just did all this shit for you, and we just pay you all this money. Well, now you don't have to pay me this money. Fuck you. What? And I don't know off the top of my head, what did they get for Bradley Beal? It couldn't have been anything interesting. It could not have been anything interesting. Surely there were picks involved for Bradley Beal. I don't even remember what happened in that trade. Is this worth asking Siri? I don't know. I don't know. It stinks if you're a Wizards fan right now. Because who are you even looking at in the draft? Who cares? It's not like you're like, well, Ace Bailey's coming in. He's not. Ace Bailey's not walking through that door. I'm pissed. I mean, hey, I get it. You know, Pistons fans, we went through it. We're like, you are the worst team in the NBA. You have the worst record in the NBA. And you're picking 5th. And you're like, what the fuck is this? This isn't cool at all. Where are the Wizards this year? Are they 5th? I thought it was like 7th. They got hosed. They're not picking anywhere. You know, I love to talk my shit and, like, you know, be like, oh, aha, the Wizards, they stink and blah, blah, blah. I've just never liked them. But, you know, if I'm being honest about it, they kind of have some of the, like, Washington sports fans are sneaky some of the better kind the better breed in America. I'm not saying they're the best, but they're not. I mean, you think about the Capitals, dog, when they won the Stanley Cup, everybody shed a tear for Ovechkin, but those fans went all out. They were great. Nationals fans, they're not bad. They're not bad. Commanders fans, sick, nasty freaks. Disgusting, sick freaks. Semi-derogatory, but also semi-endearing. I mean it both ways. Very rowdy. So, I don't know. Maybe the Wizards just need someone to cheer for. They don't have anybody to make them sexy right now. You know, I always do my thing about Bilal Koulibaly. Yeah, I like him. I wish he got to play more for France in the Olympics, but he didn't. I don't know. You like Alex Sarr? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you like Jordan Poole? I don't know. You like coloring outside of the lines too? I don't know. You like Brian Keefe? I guess. Yeah, that's cool. I gotta tell you, holy shit. You want to know something? Just get it out, brother. I'm getting so tired of Netflix and their sensationalist documentaries that they make about everything. Every documentary, every original ESPN #Untold that they come out with or whatever it is. It could be about the most mundane thing, but they shoot it in the most dramatic way, and it's 90 minutes, and it could be a TikTok. And I'm bringing this up to say this damn Javaris Crittenton, Gilbert Arenas shooting guards documentary that they came out with. What a load of shit. I hated it. I got halfway through it. You want to know? Oh, Nick, you didn't even watch the full thing. Let me tell you why I didn't watch the full thing. So if you don't know, it's the documentary that just recently came out, and it chronicles when Javaris and Agent Zero had guns on each other in the locker room. I, like many of you out there, remember when this happened. I remember where I was when this news came out. I remember reading about it in real time. I remember the commentary. Having a documentary come out about it, having it called Shooting Guards, very funny. It's very funny. And one day, my son's taking a nap. I'm just like, whatever. I just need to put something mundane on. Like, whatever. I don't care. It's background noise. I don't care. I throw this on. And the reason I only got halfway through it, 45 minutes in, is because that's when it happens. That's when, like, the event happens, when they have guns on each other. And I'm like, oh, so what's the next 45 minutes? And then it's over, and you're like, oh, there's still 45 minutes. I don't care what happens after that. I don't need 45 minutes worth of, and this is what the coverage was like. And this is where Javaris is now. And this fucked up his life. And he ended up going to jail. And now he's out of jail. And Gilbert Arenas is doing fucking podcasts and shit. And you're like, he's doing fine. I don't care about any of that. I don't know. I guess shame on me for tuning in and thinking that I wanted to watch it. But, okay, folks, let's get this thing back on the road. So Oklahoma City and Indiana playing in the NBA Finals. To bring it back to the talking point at the beginning, like, I just can't wait for the super reasonable takes to get fired off about, like, just, you know, how invested people are in the integrity of the NBA and if it's on its last leg, if it will be able to withstand the television ratings of an Oklahoma City versus Indiana championship. The truth was that as long as it wasn't the Knicks, it would have been hilarious either way. And that's not to slight the Knicks. It's just because it's like, well, no, it's the Knicks. It's in New York. Because you would have had Indiana versus Minnesota for the finals, or Indiana versus Oklahoma City. That is the funniest shit. That's so funny because it's gross. It's disgusting. It's very fun to see cities that like you're like, whoa. You know, you get a little sprite. Like we talk about Milwaukee versus Phoenix. That's another one. That was fun. It was like, whoa, Milwaukee and Phoenix playing in the finals, right? You have Miami and Dallas. Boo. Has made for some good quality championship basketball in the last 2 decades. But it's, from a city's perspective, it's not interesting. Be a little bit biased here. Detroit versus San Antonio. Very funny. That's very funny. You go back to, 1990? Detroit versus Portland for the finals? Very funny. That's very funny. There's a little juice in there. There's a little something. Who are we giving the edge to on this show? Well, I don't know because I didn't do this spiel, brother. They gave Shai Gilgeous-Alexander the MVP on the one day that he was getting the most hate I think he's ever gotten in his entire career. Ever. Period, ever. Like the most vitriol I've seen directed at one player. It's probably not that long since it's happened to somebody else, but boy, oh boy. Was it game 1? Yeah, it was game 1 against Minnesota. That he goes to the line 14 times, and we're seeing these sequences happen where nobody touches Shai. And he trips and he walks, and they call a foul on like Anthony Edwards, and they're like, what the fuck? And it goes to review, and they're like, oh, literally nobody touched him. And so, okay, so then they end up calling it a walk, and blah, blah. People are so damn fixated on these sequences. Meanwhile, Oklahoma City wins by 100 damn points. But the only thing that people wanted to talk about was that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander went to the line and shot 14 times. They gave him the MVP the next day. The next day, they gave him the MVP. And I guess it's good that some time has passed for me on this because I was also pretty riled up about it just because I was like, it just sucks to watch this. But the way that I've always looked at the Shai Grifter Alexander thing is it did make me mad when Harden did it until it didn't. And then I got over it and it didn't bother me. The foul artistry shit. And so because it didn't bother me eventually when Harden did it, it doesn't bother me when Brunson does it, unless it's against my team, and then it's bullshit, and it needs to be in jail. And so because it doesn't bother me when Brunson does it, I don't think it just can't bother me that Shai does it. You know what I mean? Even if it does, the principle of it, the logic of it, I can't let it bother me. And then I think the other piece of it that's important, and you could also attach this to the aforementioned Jalen Brunson or James Harden, any of those guys. But for Shai, most importantly, is like, does he need that? Does he need to do the foul artistry shit? Does he need to hook somebody's arm? Does he need to? Because like here's what my eyes tell me every time I watch Shai and he does the flopping shit. He just doesn't absorb contact at all. Like the second that it hit, that he'll fucking head snap and he'll do whatever. It's the second that there's contact, and that's the thing that pisses me off. But like, I don't know, he doesn't need to do it because he'll still hesi-tween, put the ball on a string, and give you like 44 on like jumpers. Not really jumpers specific, just jumpers. I mean, he'll get to the hole, but like he doesn't need to do it. And it's the same problem I have with Brunson. He doesn't need to do it because Brunson has the mid-range game. He has the floater game. Like he doesn't need to do the baiting shit, but he does because he knows the rules and because he can. And it's annoying, but at least we didn't get Shai versus Jalen Brunson in the NBA Finals because, brother, those games would have taken 6 hours. I mean, we would have been there for a fortnight watching one game of the finals between those two players. So ultimately, where I landed with the Shai winning MVP thing is like, yeah, duh, of course he won MVP. Another instance of like, it's not just cool that the team figured it out and like they lived up to the expectation and they actually went to the finals, right? They won the West. It's also cool that everybody kind of assumed like Shai was going to be in the conversation, if not like a major player in the MVP race, and then he was to a very extreme degree, and then he proved it all year. He even in the postseason, which doesn't matter for the MVP, but still doesn't mean nothing. And he actually did it. He actually won MVP. That's cool. That is very, very cool for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think that probably wraps it up. I mean, I think we'll get another chance to talk before the games happen. I don't remember. I think the finals start on the 5th, so I think that was that Thursday. I don't remember when that is. That was hoops this week. Well, I'm just trying to rack my brain really quick. Anything else going on in the hoops world? You leave for 2 weeks. I don't think so. I don't think there's gonna be. I don't think so. Okay. Well, what else do I got for you guys? Champions League. Do some soccer really quick. Lots of stuff has happened in soccer, honestly. Let's see. Champions League. PSG, they've done it. They've done it. The trophy returns to its rightful home back in France. Paris Saint-Germain winning the Champions League 5-0. The largest margin of victory in a Champions League final ever. And holy smokes. Kvaratskhelia scored. That's a big moment for me. I love when my favorite players do cool shit in the biggest games. 2 19-year-olds scored. One of them had 2 goals. And then who was the first one? I don't think it mattered. Hakimi was, I think, the first one. Just beautiful. Just beautiful. What's the word I'm looking for? I want to say beautiful football. I don't want to sound like an asshole, but it was beautiful soccer that they kicked the shit. They started the game by basically just deferring on the opening kick and just kind of kicking it into Inter Milan's territory and being like, we're going to play on this half in your half, literally the entire fucking game. It was awesome. I was very, very happy to see this come to fruition, sort of in the air for them all year. And the main talking point from this game, at least through the American lens, is the Ewing theory surrounding Kylian Mbappe has been confirmed. This was a very, very big moment. The committee can they have deliberated. They have spent months in deliberation. The committee finally wrapped up their investigation. Myth confirmed, I guess, that the Ewing theory exists for Kylian Mbappe, because as soon as he leaves PSG, they are able to win the league. They still spend money on players. The damn broadcaster for CBS couldn't stop pointing out during this game, by the way, that PSG takes dirty money from the Saudis. I thought it was very noble, but I couldn't help that he kept bringing it up. In the last 30 minutes of the broadcast, he brought it up at least 3 times. That the way that PSG gets their money, maybe a little bit, and then he straight up says the word sports washing, and he explains very deliberately, like, this is what sports washing is, and it is used. Athletics are used to cover up human rights abuses and shit like that. And I'm like, dog, they are probably watching the game. They're probably listening to what you're saying. Just chill out a little bit. It was very, very bold, but very, very noble work. I don't remember his name, but the main commentator for CBS during that game. Very cool. The response, Parisians, fucking whatever, man. People who live in Paris, their response to this historic victory was to do what you do in France when anything happens, good or bad, and you riot. You riot, you go nuts, you go wild, you light some shit on fire, maybe blow up a car, and you, those riot officers, they're so well trained. They get so many reps up, because it doesn't matter what happens. If PSG had lost, they would have done the same shit. It's crazy. For a country, and we can be real about this, like other countries, other European countries, do you guys want to do a quick little, you want to have a little powwow about France? Bathroom Tom, a.k.a. Wizards fan Tom, some of you may prefer him by his preferred nomenclature, Hot Tom. He has a French significant other. His girlfriend is French, like off the boat. That's where she's from. She's actual real-life French. Tom, make sure she's not around for this, okay? Because we need to have us and the European Union plus the United Kingdom plus England. We'll let them in with the European Union for this conversation. We're going to do a little powwow about France. Listen, man, how the hell Are they so mad about shit all the time? All the time. They're writing about, this was years ago, but like, because old people, they've fucked with their retirement age or something about their pensions. I don't know. It's all for very noble cause, more often than not. That the youth in France and Paris specifically are getting mad and throwing shit around and are rioting. But it happens too much. It's simply too much. And this is where I'm going with this. Why then, when it comes to actually fighting in wars, you know what I mean? Do I have to say do I have to say the rest of this? Why does that happen? Whenever France fights in a war, why does that happen? You know what I mean? Unless it was like Napoleon and he takes over half of the damn world. But since then, I don't know, the Nazis just kind of moonwalked into France. They just kind of showed up in Paris and were like, it would be cool if we just posted up here. And France was like, no, no. And then they called their Western buddies to come kick the Nazis out of France. Did we ever get a thank you for that, by the way? I'm not sure that we did. I don't know if we did. Oh, and then you want to talk about real patriotism? Now the mask is actually kind of off. Here's something for real about France that scares me. Okay, I'm scared they're gonna take the Statue of Liberty back. Do you guys remember that? Not when they gave us the Statue of Liberty. None of you guys remember that. We weren't here for that. But like, I don't know, 3 months ago, what did Trump do? He said something was it in the middle of him? I think, when France said that they were going to take the Statue of Liberty back a couple months ago, I think it was when Zelensky came to the White House and J.D. Vance was like, why haven't you thanked the president? And then they're like, why aren't you wearing a tie? And then Elon Musk was in the Oval Office like the next day, like in a t-shirt, like untucked. And it was like a shirt that was written, that he wrote on it in Sharpie, and he's like dabbing and like rolling on fucking MDMA in the Oval Office behind the Resolute desk. But 24 hours prior to that, they were like, where's your t-shirt? Or why are you wearing a t-shirt? And why haven't you thanked the... Okay, anyways. I think it was right after that. Keir Starmer gets in Zelensky's ear. They have a moment. Keir Starmer spent like a week kind of being like a rally guy. People were big on Keir Starmer for like a week because he sort of picked up Zelensky after Trump beat him down a little bit. I think it was around then that France was like, that Statue of Liberty would look really nice if it was not in New York. This is all that I'm trying to say. That can't fucking happen. It can't happen, and it won't happen. That's something that, Canada could burn the White House down again. They could do it again. And I would, if it happened in the middle of the night and I woke up in the morning and I saw Canada does it again, in a world full of remakes, full of reboots, Canada burns down the White House, part 2. I would be like, wow. And then I would turn on Pardon My Take or something, or like Bill Simmons or Russillo, and be like, wow, that's fucked up. I wouldn't take it as an act of war. I would just be like, yeah, that probably had a good reason to do that, right? If you take the Statue of Liberty, that is ours. That's ours. You gave that to us. I don't see was there a receipt? Was there a gift receipt? No take backs. No take backs. Also, by the way, just to bring this back to the whole World War II thing, you know, it is funny though. A piece of like Americanized history is like D-Day, where if you, I don't know, watch any movie that has ever come out, like ever. I'm trying to think of one that isn't just Saving Private Ryan. What's the one? Is it The Longest Day? Is that the one that I'm thinking of? I think it's in black and white. I'm pretty sure that's only Americans on the beach. I think that was supposed to be Omaha. I don't know what other fucking movies have D-Day scenes. A couple of them. There was one. I don't think there was one in Patton. There's not one in Kelly's Heroes. There's not one in Dirty Dozen. These are just World War II movies. Wasn't Clint Eastwood in one? I think that was just Kelly's Heroes. Was he in The Longest Day? How the fuck is he still alive, by the way? A movie. Well, I'm always at video games. You could even do this. Any Call of Duty. There's nobody that's not American that are on these beaches. Wasn't Canada like very famously boots on the ground? during D-Day. I don't know about which beach. It could have been Omaha. It could have been Juneau. I don't know. I have no idea. But I know that shit was not just America. So even though I'm being tongue-in-cheek about, like, you're welcome, France, for saving you guys. You're welcome. You can thank British Special Forces for that as well. You can thank the Polish, right? The Nazis show up in France, and they're like, it would be cool if this was ours. And France was like, for sure. You fast forward to now. Like, God forbid there's a conflict. But wasn't it also, I mean, days before Russia officially invaded Ukraine, it was Macron who was on the damn phone with Putin being like, brother, don't do it. Please don't do this. And Putin was like, aren't you getting groomed by like a 90-year-old woman? And Macron was like, we can discuss this, but first I'm going to need you to back off. And then he didn't. And he's kind of always the one who's sort of dangling like military intervention. Macron loves to do that. He loves to be the one who's like, hey, Europe, we got to rally and we got to be boots on the ground in Ukraine. And then I think also part of what France was mad about with Trump is, wasn't it Trump that suggested that, you know, when they start doing those fake peace talks like months ago, he was the one I think that suggested that essentially NATO has like a task force that is along the wherever the front line freezes in Ukraine, and it would be made up of some of the French military, the British military, again the Polish military, maybe some Italians. You throw a bunch of people in, the Germans, a bunch of, you know, Germany would be involved in that, but not America was kind of the thing. It's like, so you guys are gonna be okay. I'm saying all of this shit, man, and I gotta tell you, I was talking about this earlier. I'm done being mean to France, except the video of Macron getting smacked in the face by his wife. Very funny. Very funny. He was like, oh no, we will just horsing around. And it's like, no, she actually very clearly did not want to touch you, wanted nothing to do with you the second that you walked out of that plane. You have not seen the video of the French president getting smacked in the face on French Force One by his 90-year-old wife, who was like his first grade teacher or some bullshit like that. Very, very funny. But France, I'm sorry for the last 7 minutes that I've been talking about you guys. Here's what I was thinking about, though, is if we go down the timeline and it's like 10, 15 years from now, 20 years from now, right? And you're thinking about kids like reading textbooks about like World War III or, you know, a third global conflict. I just wonder if the timeline that they see is like, by the time that you're listening to this, I'm taping this on June 1st, 2025. Like, to them, they'll look back on this and be like, it had already started. And so you're saying, okay, Nick, you're saying World War III's already started. I don't want to be an asshole and say that. I'm like, sound the alarm, it's already happened. No, but here's what I've been thinking about, and this is what I've just, I don't know how to digest the things that I'm about to say, right? The reason that I don't know how we're not already in it is because, okay, you look at the two main conflicts in the world right now, the ones that are the two that are the most polarizing and that people, quote unquote, want to talk about the most and have there's the most discourse about them. It is Russia and it is Ukraine, and it is Israel and their occupation of Gaza, right? And so if we focus on the one that's in Eastern Europe right now, okay, yeah, on the surface, it is a sovereign nation fending off would-be, I'm not going to say would-be invaders. I mean, they are invaders. Would-be occupiers, right? A sovereign nation gets invaded. They have the right to defend themselves. 100%, right? Yeah, but that's not what it is, though. It's not just Ukrainians fighting Russians. Dog, we know for a fact that America has run clandestine operations inside of Ukraine within the last 3 years. We know that there have been American troops running black ops missions in Ukraine in the last 3 years. We know that the fucking British Special Forces have been in there, right? We know that the French have been in there. We know that the Germans have been in there. I'm like, okay. And then if you think about it from Russia's perspective, dog, we know that China's been involved. We know that there are North Koreans straight up fighting for the Russians right now, right? And I'm not even talking about, like, when you talk about in Ukraine, there's like this international legion that you can join. So, like, if you're an American and you want to go fight, you can just go online and you can sign up in the International Legion and you can go fight for Ukraine. I'm not talking about those, like, almost independent contractors or whatever the fuck fighting in Ukraine as, like, and that's Americans getting involved. No, there are, like, Brazilians that have been fighting in this war for the Ukrainians, for the Russians too. Like, some people are just there. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about intelligence agencies from other governments outside of Russia and outside of Ukraine fighting in this fucking war. It's a proxy war. Dog, the West is involved in this. The far reaches of the East are involved in this. So you could look at Israel too, and how many countries are directly impacting the outcomes, if that's what you want to say, what's happening in Gaza right now. And so I look at all of this shit and I'm like, so we're almost waiting for like an Archduke Ferdinand moment, right? We're waiting for a Pearl Harbor moment. Maybe that happens. I don't know. But I just wonder if it's just more subtle than that, because I don't know. Here's what's fucked up to me. Okay, we know that in 2023, the CIA had like some of their top guys go to Ukraine to train a bunch of soldiers. And these are supposed to be like the special ops, like what's not the SBU. What the fuck is it's not the KGB anymore in Ukraine. Is it the SBU? Whatever the fuck it's called. One of their, like their top guys, they're fucking Jack Reachers and shit like that. The CIA was training these guys. Okay, and so what these like top secret fucking Ukrainian agents learned was how to get into Russia and like do car bombs and shit like that. And so I'm like, okay, so these Ukrainians are going into Russia and they're taking out like high military ranking officials, like generals and shit, with car bombs. And I'm like, dog, if that happened in America, it's like an act of war, because we would immediately deduce who did it, right? And it would be, I would be everywhere. It would be inescapable. But like, even though America wasn't the one who planted this car bomb, we're the ones who gave the Ukrainians the knowledge to do it in the first place. And if you're Russia, I just don't know how you wouldn't have more of an aggressive response to that. It's just crazy. It's just crazy to me. And I'm not here to do like, well, it's fucked up and it's wrong and it's right. I don't give a shit about that. It's just a thing that happens, and that's what's interesting to me. Yes. Okay, where did you guys know how to do car bombs? That's funny. That's a good bit. And so what's the application of this? I don't know. But what it's like, you teach the monkey how to use fire, and then the monkey burns down the house. Do you blame the monkey or do you blame yourself for teaching the monkey how to use the fire? And so I just don't know how these figures. And then the other, man, it's a whole goddamn spider web. Because the other way to look at this is, okay, so you want like a Pearl Harbor moment. You want an Archduke Ferdinand. You want a 9. Not I want to say you want a 9/11, because it's just not funny. Well, what would that be right now if not for just like a mass casualty event? I don't know. China invading Taiwan. Would that be something? A lot of people sounding the alarm on that one. There's been a lot of China shit. Like, hey, keep an eye on these guys from from this administration. The regime in place in America right now has been awfully, I don't want to say dog whistly, but for lack of better phrasing, dog whistly about China in the last 2 weeks. This damn military general does a 45-minute presentation. It's like a damn intelligence briefing. Might as well be. 45 minutes. I watched about 30-ish minutes of it, right? And he's talking about damn satellite imagery where China's like recreating portions of an airfield that you can see in Taiwan. And so obviously China is using this as like a simulation, as a training exercise when they actually get boots on the ground. And he's going off about all this information, all this shit. And he's saying all this bad stuff that China does to prepare for like a mass invasion or something like that. I'm like, you're telling me, guy, that America doesn't do something similar? Really? Hamas did this. And as far as the American government is concerned, Hamas is literally a bunch of fucking cavemen. on some real Tony Stark. God damn it. Tony Stark built this in a cave with a box of scraps. That's what they think fucking Hamas is. We had satellite imagery for like 2 goddamn months that they were planning something, and the architecture that they was using was like, hey, don't you see those on like, don't you see that kind of a house in like a kibbutz or something like that? And then the IDF was like, hey, fucking Mossad was like, nah, it's good. It's probably nothing. And then October 7th happens. And then, oh man, if only we knew that this was going to happen. They fucking knew it was going to happen. They didn't do anything about it. Okay. So I'm saying all this stuff. Okay, what if China did do something? I don't care if they did do something. Well, of course I care if they... I'm just getting a little too fast, a little too loose with my words here. Well, yes, I very much would care. Well, where I'm going with this is, I just wonder if they don't, and if they just let it... Why don't I just say the point that I'm trying to say here? Okay, if I'm America... It's clear that the interest of the previous administration and the current one is to kind of just like let this thing keep going. Just keep funding it. Just kind of keep letting it go because it keeps Russia at bay. Because it keeps Russia spending a lot of money and it keeps them using a lot of ammunition and a lot of fucking rockets. They're losing a lot of planes. They're losing a lot of ships. There's a population crisis that's going to happen with them because 2 million men have just died in the last 3 years. So you just kind of let this shit drag out and then you don't really have to worry about them. Well, dog, China's kind of doing the same shit, are they not? Because if I'm China... And yeah, maybe we're giving like a little bit of shit, off skimming some stuff off the top and giving it to Russia. It's like for the most part, what we're watching, if we're China, is America and NATO, America and the West, also bankrolling this war and also depleting I don't want to say a lot of resources, but when you look at China's military like against America's. And you just think about, shipyard to shipyard and how these two different nations produce like militarily. Like, dog, we have a huge defense budget in the United States, fucking trillions of dollars every single year that the United States spends on like military equipment. Sometimes that equipment ends up going to like a Ukraine type character. But like a lot of the shit is stuff that we don't use anymore because we have new shit. And so, like, whatever, you're not exactly sending, billions to Ukraine worth of, like, tanks and rockets and, like, anti-air shit, expecting to get it back. That's not really, you're just kind of like, all right, they fucking, here you go. We got a lot of shit. Doug, what China produces and the scale that they do it at is it's just a completely different thing. And so, I don't know, if I'm them and I'm watching the people that I don't fuck with, also getting, I don't want to say handicapped or whatever, but you're just going to let them kind of work this shit out. And then by the time that everybody's too broke and too tired to keep fighting, we're going to invade Taiwan. We're going to invade Taiwan and we're just going to kind of do it in the middle of the night. And there's a non-zero chance that Trump doesn't care about it. I'd be a little surprised if he didn't care about it. I'd be a little surprised. But also, I don't want to... I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't want to fight China. I don't want to do it. I don't think I want to do it. I don't think I have it in me to live through... I just in recent months it's been so weird to me to think about the fact that we lived through a war. It was just never here. And so it was just easy to not think about it. And it was just easy to be like, yeah. Like I grew up and Bush was the president, but I didn't really know that much about what was going on. So when I knew about what was going on, Obama was president. And Obama was a pretty cool president to be president when you're a teenager. And we got a real good, we hit the sweet spot. My generation did. Cause if I was a teenager during the Bush years, I would have been really cynical and I would have been nihilistic 15 years ago. I would have given up completely way longer ago. If Bush was the president when I was a teenager, if I was like 17, 18 years old and I watched Colin Powell lie to the United Nations about Saddam Hussein possessing weapons of mass destruction, I would have lost all faith completely. That moment for my generation, I don't want to speak for my generation. For me, the Trayvon shit was hard. That was a weird, like, cultural thing for me as just like a kid, as like a white kid who knew nothing about like, I don't want to say like racial inequality, because yes, of course we learned about that shit in school, but like as far as like police brutality went, I'm not learning about fucking Rodney King when I'm like 10 years old, you know what I mean? So like when Trayvon Martin died, it was sort of like it's like one of the first like racially polarizing moments where I was like, oh, it was like that, where the division between people like socially and, you know, with the police was like really on display for me. I was like, whoa. And then obviously, you know, years and years and years go by. And we sort of have another one of those social reckonings like 5 years ago in 2020. I didn't fucking complain. I don't know where I was going with any of this. I think it's happened in this episode where I just kind of start going in 6 different directions, and I don't really remember where I was going, which is too bad. And I'm kind of stalling right now because I'm trying to see if I can talk myself back into it and see if I can get myself back on the road. But I don't think I'm going to be able to, folks. Okay, so what was I? Oh, it's probably something about World War III. Was I still talking about that? Goddamn. Yeah, why don't I get off of that one? Right. Back to soccer. Some other stuff that we didn't get to talk about. So Liverpool finally won the title, which we did talk about. They also were subject to not a terrorist attack, but like a horrible man drives his car through a crowd of people. And as of this taping, I don't know if anybody ended up passing away. For the longest time, it was just a bunch of injuries. The videos are horrific, though. Horrific. Just a bunch of people celebrating their team winning a league title. And a guy just, the story came out. It's very bizarre how it happened, but it wasn't like he wasn't doing it just to drive his car into like sounds like it was kind of a freak accident, or from what I understand, it was like, he like was trying to turn down a road and like didn't realize that it was closed off. And then people started like pounding on his car being like, get the fuck out of the way. And then I guess he got scared and just kind of floored it. I don't know if that's true. It's just the way that I read it was confusing to me. So if I apologize if that's completely wrong. It was fucking horrible. The video is horrifying. Broke my heart for Liverpool fans. So we actually did get an email. I don't know. When was like the celebration at Anfield? Like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, maybe. The game that they played where they knew they had already clinched, and so at the end of it, they did the big celebration. We got an email from a guy that I never ended up reading, but it was such a brilliant email. It was so cool to see. Him and his dad like went to Liverpool without tickets. They didn't have tickets. They just wanted to be around Anfield to just soak up just the environment and the atmosphere and be there when they celebrate winning the league. It's very, very cool. The long and short of it was that they ended up getting tickets, each of them, and independently. And so they got to go into the game. And the guy had sent me pictures and videos from outside of the stadium and inside, during the game, after the game, all this stuff. I wanted to highlight the whole damn thing. It's cool, really cool father-son moment. I just never did it. Just one of those emails that kind of kept getting put on the back burner. So it's just really, really cool to see how happy that guy was and how cool of a day it was with him and his dad. They just kind of scored tickets and they got to go see their favorite team win the league, and they got to celebrate. It's very cool. So I'm bringing this up to say, a couple weeks later when that guy goes crashing into this crowd, that was the first guy that I thought of. I was like, fuck, I hope he wasn't there. Like, I don't know, maybe they flew back to go there and they went to the parade, and I was like, man, the video is absolutely horrifying. Liverpool won the league, and then Crystal Palace. Whoa. Crystal Palace won the FA. They beat City. Haaland was back for that game, I believe. That was his first game back. Yeah. Shout out to Crystal Palace. Good year. Very good year for first-timers. Or like just people. Yeah, it's free. You can call it first-timers. People winning hardware. They never won hardware before. Newcastle won the Carabao. They beat Liverpool. Crystal Palace, they never won shit before, I don't think, like ever. Crystal Palace, like, never wins anything. They beat City in the FA. Liverpool, I mean, they win the league. That's happened. It's happened in the last days, so that's not that crazy. How about Tottenham finishing like 14th in the league, but guaranteeing a Champions League spot next year? Because they won the Europa League. One of the worst finals of any sport I've ever seen in my life. That Tottenham Man United game was fucking horrible. We got I guess it was 90 minutes. I guess it was 90 minutes of soccer that was played. That was not football. That shit was soccer, bro. That, honestly, so what I was going to say is I got like the extended highlights from CBS. That video recommended to me after the game happened. Europa League final, Tottenham versus United, extended highlights. It was like 12 minutes long. I was like, dog, this shit should be 30 seconds. This game sucked. That game is what most Americans think the sport of soccer is, by the way, is that fucking boring game. What it really can be is both legs of the Inter Milan versus Barcelona semifinals that we saw. Two of the most beautiful games of soccer that you will ever see in your life. That is what I think Americans miss out on when they don't watch the sport. But I also don't blame them for not watching the sport. I really don't. It is great for commercials because they just don't happen. They really just don't get commercials. But okay, so Tottenham won that, which was bullshit, and it stinks, but it was funny. And then Chelsea won the Conference League. Wow. Very cool. Very cool. Not at all the kids' table. It's not. Don't call it the kids' table. It's not. The Europa Conference League. That's a fucking hard league to win. And you should not make fun of them for it. That's fucked up and that's wrong. Tottenham, good for them. I wouldn't make fun of them. That's hardware. They don't win hardware ever. And they have everybody under contract, and they're the most profitable team in England, and they have everybody on good contracts. Rest in peace, Harry Kane. Literally didn't need him. That's a Europa League on your fucking head. United, ever fucking heard of it? Hello? Good for them. What else happened? Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's probably it for soccer. I'm trying to think, man. There's going to be so much stuff that I just don't talk about, and it's been gone for so long. I mean, I wrote down some stuff. Let's see. This is probably going to act as sort of like a graveyard of bits, so to speak. Yeah, just some stuff that I wrote down while I was gone that I was like, if I think of any goofs to go along with it. The first one I wrote is Inspector Gadget, but he doesn't have any condoms. And so the genesis of this bit would be Inspector Gadget, if you don't know, he's a man who has a lot of gadgets. And at any given moment, if you're like, oh no, Inspector Gadget, I'm going to die if I can't open this bottle, then a bottle opener will shoot out of his arm and he'll be like, fear not, I'm literally Inspector Gadget, here's a bottle opener, right? Or it'll form out of his pinky or some shit like that, and he'll just open it for you. He's Inspector Gadget. So in this universe, Inspector Gadget goes on a date, and it goes really well, and the woman invites him back over to her place, and they go to have sex, and he doesn't have a condom, and she's like, oh, well, that's okay, because you're Inspector Gadget, and I'm sure you kind of have everything, like you have live animals inside of you at all times, so I just feel like a condom, maybe a sheepskin or like a wool something. You got anything? And he's like, nope, I don't. But he does have plan B. If you need a plan B, he does have that for you. Sort of like a Pez dispenser style. He's got that. But Inspector Gadget does not have any condoms on him actually at the moment. And I just never got anywhere with this joke. I just couldn't think of anything. So that one went into the trash. And then the other one that I thought of, this one's very long-winded. So I hope I don't... This is so long-winded. So I was wondering, we spend so much time as a culture talking about Donald Trump. And the thing that people love to say is the Russian sleeper agent. Not sleeper agent, but that he is like a Russian agent, right? And that that Putin's in his pocket and whatever the fuck, right? Okay. So I was just wondering if maybe we've overlooked this thing. And I think about a guy, Donald Trump, who 40 years ago... 50 years ago, dodged the draft. He's like, Vietnam? Hell nah. I'm not going there. I'm absolutely not going to Vietnam. Fuck no. It's not happening. And he dodged the draft. People like to point that out because it's funny. I don't blame him for that, right? A lot of people, including members of my family, were going to move to Canada if they got drafted and they had to go to Vietnam. Fuck that. There's nothing wrong with not going to Vietnam. But here's what I'm hypothesizing. Is what if it's actually because the Viet Cong got on the phone and was like, hey, man, don't do this. Go be a real estate mogul. Go do a little bit of TV. Go start like a Miss Universe pageant. Go open some golf courses. Go play some golf. We're going to need you in about 50 years. Okay? And I'm hypothesizing that because Donald Trump did not go over and fight the Viet Cong back in the 80s, he is now actually acting as an agent for the Vietnamese. And it is actually the Vietnamese who have done a sort of a return to sender on Agent Orange. And that's his code name, is Agent Orange. They have now Uno reversed, and they have deployed their own Agent Orange onto America. And they've tainted its politics. They've tainted America's standing, its relationship with the rest of the connected world. And this is Vietnam's final victory over the United States. They helped him achieve power, and then because he himself, if you've never seen Donald Trump before, is also a bit on the orange side. And I couldn't get anywhere with this fucking joke either. I just couldn't do it. I sat in the car and I waited for the funnies to come out, and it never happened. It never happened. What else do I got? I had a lot of emails about the guy who looked like Bill Simmons, who hit another guy in the head with a pickleball racket. Guy goes berserk at a random pickleball match. For those of you who don't know what pickleball is, it's just smaller tennis. And the guy just starts wailing on this other guy on his head with a pickleball racket. And it kind of looked like Bill a little bit. You could only see the side and the back of his head. And I didn't think it was him, to be honest, but I was going to let digital forensics experts do their jobs. And luckily, Ryan Russillo ends up asking Bill point blank the next time they record a show, hey, was this you? And they talk about it and blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't Bill, but it was a good little spiel that they had going back and forth about it. It was funny. I'm only saying this to say a lot of takes getting thrown around, a lot of discourse about pickleball. And now the truth is I don't have a take. I don't give a shit about this sport. I think it's stupid as fuck. But most people who have pickleball takes are people who've never played it before, is one thing that I've picked up on. And then the other take that I see a lot is, well, who cares if old people, take up basketball courts because they're trying to play pickleball or whatever. They've ruined tennis courts because they're trying to play pickleball. At least they're out of the house. At least they're active and they're doing shit. You're right about that. I do think that is a good point. However, when they follow that point up with, at least they're not just on Facebook, like getting their fucking brains rotted. And I was like, well, no, but you're just mobilizing them. And so once you get to a certain age, you don't have that much to talk about anymore. I don't know. What scares me sometimes is when my grandma will talk about like their friends and like the community that they live in down in Florida. Some people in the winter, that's when they'll come back down to Florida. And then in the summers, they'll go back up north, the snowbirds, right? And so they'll go back up to, people go back up to Michigan or Maine or Massachusetts or somewhere not in Florida in the summer, and then they come back down. My grandma all the time will be like, yeah, this person like not coming back down, or yeah, this person. You just get to a certain age, your friends just start dying. You start not having friends anymore, and you just don't see them anymore. Can I trust tree really quick? Like this is like present, like happening in the last week. 2 people that I know have passed away, and both of them, shocking. Like I went on Facebook the other day, and I never check Facebook. I was checking it for a very, very specific reason. I never go on it. I haven't gone on it in years. I just don't do it. But I had to check one specific thing. I go onto Facebook, and I immediately see that somebody that I knew, years ago passed away. Like they're 27 years old. What the hell? A guy that graduated with me, a kid that I knew, just passed away like a week. Crazy when people your age just die. And you're like, dog, we're not supposed to die. That's wild. And then I even learned, man, something about Facebook is what's crazy is the point of Facebook at this point is it's only people showing that they're on vacation, that somebody died, or that they're getting married. or something like that. And the other thing is the one of the people that I know that passed away. Oh, her husband. This was a woman that died. Her husband immediately. He's posting all of her shit on Facebook Marketplace. Oh, oy vey, Jesus Christ. Ooh, brutal. Brutal. I can't imagine. I don't even want to know why. Either you're doing it because you can't stomach it being around. I can't even keep, you know what I mean? I just have to get rid of this. And it's worth something, so I might as well get money. Or you're doing it to cover the costs of like who God knows what. I can't imagine. I don't even want to know. It's fucking horrible. But I hated watching it happen. And oh my God. Brutal. That's such a funny damn way to end the show, but I think I'm going to do it. Cause it's getting late. My girlfriend's texting me. She's like, hey, she's just texting me. Are you done recording? I'm not done recording. I'm still going. I don't know if she's going to be able to hear me. I'm still going. I'm still talking. Before I get you out of here, let me do a little pick me up for you. Watched an episode of Blue's Clues recently. You guys remember Blue's Clues? I remember when Salt and Pepper had a kid. These anthropomorphic salt shakers had a child that they named Paprika. I didn't remember Salt and Pepper being French though. And what's funny is the guy kind of sounds French, or the woman sounds French, but the guy kind of sounds like he's from Boston. I think that's how it goes. It's something like that. No, I was about to do another anti-French thing. I've done a little bit too much of that in this episode. It's always got to be somebody. It's always somebody. If it's not Canadians, which it never fucking is. It literally never is. I never say mean shit about Canada. Motherfuckers are just like, I'll fucking burn the White House down. You guys love to throw that shit out at me. I don't care if you want to burn the White House down. I don't want you to be a part of America. I don't want you to be part of America. We're done having this fucking conversation. Canada has the right to self-determination. They have the right to sovereignty. I don't fucking want them. I don't want them. They're nice people, not the French ones. Ah, damn it, I did it again. That's real, though. French Canadians, I'm telling you, those are the motherfuckers who be like, I don't speak English. And then they fucking do. And they do. They're just doing it. And then, but also, if you try to speak French to them, they're going to be little fucking pieces of shit about it. Be like, oh, they look at you like you're so damn pathetic for even trying to speak French. I'm sorry that I was trying to do the right thing. Go to Puerto Rico, you speak Spanish, they'll just answer you in English. They'll be like, fucking whatever. You don't want to. Sometimes they'll just, whatever. I'm getting fired up at nobody right now. If you are watching this on YouTube, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, nice little comment for the algorithm. Make sure to keep primary control in check. Spotify, I love you guys. Apple Podcasts, what's up? I will catch you guys in the next one.
Primary control.